You are now listening to Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, the voice for the people. Join Richie alongside co-host property damage attorney Hans Kennon as they bring light to the taboo world of big insurance companies, exposing their tactics and fighting for justice. Hear stories from contractors across the state. Contractor Talk, here to protect homeowners and uncover the truth.
Good. All right. Welcome to the show, Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. Every Monday night, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., 94.9 FM, 950 on the AM dial. The Answer is where we are. And then a few days later, you'll hear us on podcasts anywhere you like to stream from, anywhere, Spotify, iTunes. And then also we are on YouTube. So check us out there, and you can check out Hans' Dapper Suit of the Week. In any given week, will you not find the same outfit as you would in any other show here on the Dapper Hans Kennon. What's going on, Hans?
Hey, how you doing? Light and bright, baby. That's what I'm feeling. It's dark out, but everything's going to be okay. Right. Angela just put more light on us. It's giving me that feeling that everything's going to be okay.
All right. Well, I love it. And we have a guest via Zoom today, so we're going to try to figure this out.
All right.
And really trust in technology. So we're going to try it out tonight here on the show. So, but first, let's just kind of recap on where we've been here as an association. We are sponsored by the Restoration Association of Florida. We are a nonprofit association by contractors, for contractors, and consumers alike, as we're only as strong as contractors, only as strong as consumers have rights. And we've learned a lot of from that over the years that we've seen the laws changed. And we've seen the impact that we've had on consumers, whether it be in property insurance, or be in auto insurance, life. We see the major effects here. And Hans, we're just about to see our Florida legislative session kick off in January. And I think I already have seen a few bills already sponsored. Have you seen that?
I've not seen anything actually official. There's other things that I see pop up that are marginally disturbing. I haven't seen any property insurance bills yet, unless, have you seen any property insurance, other than our discussions about the Senate maybe not having the stomach to take up, giving the citizens of Florida back some rights that have been taken. But that's all I've really seen or heard about so far.
Right. And we're just hearing gossip at this point. As we know, bills can be filed. Senators can file as many bills as they want. They have unlimited bill filing authority. If you're a House member, you have, I think, 5 bills that you can file, because there's a lot more of those guys, 120 plus of the House members and 40 Senate members. And so what I've heard, at least what the gossip train is saying, is that we're still not going to see any movement on the attorney fee situation, which would then help swing the pendulum back over from being so far over towards the insurance carrier side of it, that now we need some help on the consumer side.
And that was what I was referencing also, with the Senate not having a stomach to take up a bill that would give some citizens back their rights, the rights to recover their attorney's fees and costs, in addition to the benefits that they already are owed by the insurer.
And as we've known from the recent articles over the past 6 months, and so we've seen the effects and the aftermath of Hurricane Milton and Helene, and just the gross amount of underpayments and denials that have come from the insurance companies. They named 15 insurance companies that have denied more than 50% of all the claims filed with those two storms. Citizens being as number one. I think they came in 2 different articles. One was like Citizens Insurance, 77% denial rate. And then another article came out, 14 insurance companies, over 50%. And it started at 76% of people's distrust, all the way down to Snake Farm, all snake. And we know from that, you are not in good hands. They're not a good neighbor. And you need to watch out for this and just be at least right? What do they say? The devil you know, or anyways,
the devil knows better than the devil you don't know.
There you go. And as long as if you've listened to the show, you're going to be weary about that. And you're also going to be looking at an insurance claim a little bit differently. But what we've seen, because of these underpayments and these, and I say underpayments, and I've also said denials, and I look at that as the same way. When you have a Category 4, Category 5 hurricane go over your home, you're gonna go over your deductible. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I mean, unless you have this a tiny little house, but even then, I mean, I've seen these letters come through, and I know, Hans, you've seen many more than I have, and these letters are saying that, ooh, man, we're so sorry you've had a loss. We're going to cover your claim. Congratulations. Your deductible is $8,000 because it's a hurricane. We think the damage is around $5,000 or $6,000. So have a great day.
Right. And sometimes we'll see like 7,900. Like, oh,
just shy.
But that's the absolute power corrupts absolutely. Kind of saying, once you give the insurers an absolute right to deny people's claims with very little leverage against them from doing so, other than at least me calling them up, going to mediation, fighting with them. Otherwise, they really have no reason to pay, other than just trying to stay out of some of the eye of the media. But again, once the governor gave them the power to do all those things and took away all the leverage that we had to kind of keep them honest as best we could, it's harder and harder to get what's right for the consumer.
So, and what I've seen that I was just checking it out while I was here when I first got here, and what I've seen that's been filed so far in property insurance, are these some language leaning towards like almost that mandatory mediation, and we're going back to these different hoops to add in case if there's a dispute between you and your insurer.
Well, what's weird though is that I take all my clients to mediation through the Department of Financial Services. It's good for the client. It's good for them to see how the process works, see a little bit how the sausage gets made. You always learn something in mediation no matter what. The concern was that the mediation bill that I had kind of seen and then heard about was that the insured person had to pay for it, or at least split the cost with the insurer. There's already a plan in place in Florida where you can go to the mediation set up through the Department of Financial Services. The insurer pays the $300 charge, $250 to the mediator, $50 to the state. It's already there. It's already in place, and either party can use it without any restriction. So a bill to make it mandatory and make the insured pay for it really is just insult to injury.
It really is. It's just an extra hoop. It's a further delay tactic.
And a cost. Like they want the insured to pay the bill for mediation when right now they don't have to.
Right. And that's the first bill out the gate. That's what I was just reading in an article saying that's the first insurance bill that we've seen so far in advance of the January start, the first Tuesday in January for the session here in the state of Florida. And I'm thinking it's going to be a pretty quiet session. We still have the same people in the same positions. We still have Governor DeSantis there as a bump on a log. He's not going to do anything for property insurance, not anything helpful anyways. And so he's been so bought and paid for by the insurance company, he's still got the sticker on him. And so with that, we don't know what to do. And so, but And if you do get a full satisfaction of the claim, it's a waiting game. And during that waiting period, your property can get in further damage. It could be a super mess. And I've seen people take a small offer as well because of timing. Folks are old. You could be in a position to where you have to move, you have to take the money, something quick, or somebody in the family is not well. And I've seen all those situations occur to where somebody takes a less than likely settlement due to that, and that delay, deny, defend game works in their favor. And so what do? Are there options that exist in the marketplace? And this is a good shoe-in for Ilana National Claims Funding. And hopefully we're gonna check this technology out. This is our chance to do so. Ilana, what's going on?
Hey, Richie. Hey, Hans. How are you?
Good. It works.
All right. It works really well,
good.
too.
Nice.
It's always just that quick hesitation and when we're dealing with technology.
Ilana, we're catching it right between dental cleanings. It looks like you're in a dentist chair there. I was a little concerned when I look at the photo.
No, don't worry.
Okay, just make sure it wasn't like a late night hygienist appointment or something. Didn't mess you up on that. You got pretty teeth, so I want to make sure that works out.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
And so we've known each other for quite a while, and so I would love to hear about what new products you're offering and how you're able to help not only contractors but homeowners that deal with these types of issues, and which is the delay game and a perfectly good insurance claim for property insurance.
Yeah, Richie, I mean, what you guys are describing is such a problem. We see it here at National Claims Funding all the time. And for those of you who are not familiar, National Claims Funding exists to address this very need. Folks out there suffer real damage. Contractors do real work. And then the insurance companies buy their time, exactly like Richie and Hans are describing. And in the meantime, damage gets worse, and contractors, you guys need to pay your labor and your materials. So what we do is we think we're pretty cool. We provide funding to contractors, and we can also work with insureds directly to help you get paid for unpaid invoices with insurance claims. So for anybody out there that has property damage, first thing we always recommend is we recommend getting with good counsel, simply because you show the insurance company that you have teeth and that you mean it and that you're willing to fight back. From there, National Claims Funding is happy to help. What we do is we can offer you a percentage of your claim, of what your claim might settle for upfront, and you can use that money to go repair your property, take care of what needs to be taken care of so that the damage doesn't get worse. And then as that claim progresses, we'll sit there right with you waiting to get paid. But we're here for you. We want to help people get the claim taken care of, and we want to help people get their lives back together.
That's awesome. And that's great that you offer that service, because there's sizable accounts as well, too, that I've heard folks talk about where they'd use your services. Maybe they're at the point to put a permanent tarp over the roof, and that's pretty expensive. And a lot of times the homeowners or the commercial building owners don't have the funds aside for this yet, and this is a tool that'll help to be able to speed that process up by having some funds up front. And while we're in that waiting game, and Hans, you've seen that many times before, the insurance company finally pays, but not without dragging you to an inspection, a second inspection. And then this mediation, I almost did the air quotes mediation, right?
Sure. I always say that when it comes to delay only benefits the insurance company. And that I always tell people too, look, a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, some assistant's going to type your name into a little form on the check, and the check's going to pop out, put in the mail to you, and no one's going to get fired, no one's going to get sanctioned, no one's going to lose their job because the insurer took a few years to make this payment. For them, it's just business as usual as a way to delay the payment, keep their money in the stock market, however they have it invested. Because as we've talked about, insurers are not supposed to make more than a 5% profit over time under Florida, which is why they ship all their money out and do a variety of things to be broke all the time. But that's one of the ways in which they do that. And they have enough money and enough time where they can just wait it out. And again, with the loss of the attorney fee provision, the new restrictions on bad faith, kind of what I talked about earlier about absolute power, whenever they decide to pay, if they decide to pay, again, it's not like, I think people want to think like when they finally pay, like someone's going to pay the price too. Like some claim manager or someone's going to be fired for the delay. And Bob, this is the last time you're going to delay a claim to an insured. We can't have that happen. Right. He's getting a pat on the back. He's not getting shown the door. So again, for the client's perspective, this type of funding, maybe their only real hope to getting their home back to pre-loss condition, get a little bit of their life back to normal where they can actually afford to wait. I think that's the key of funding, and obviously everything has a cost, but if you put someone's home back together, and which gives you the ability to wait, where you can go, you know what, Mr. Insurer, my house is fixed, I got a loan to pay, but I can wait for you to pay it, puts that person in a much better place psychologically. I talk to clients all the time, and they're like, I just need it done. I can't have the tarp on my roof another day. The wife's killing me. The house is leaking. I mean, just all those things. You take those pressures away with something like this type of funding, and honestly, life kind of goes back to normal, and you got time to wait.
That's right. That's right.
Hans, I totally agree. I mean, that's exactly why we're here. We want people to get on with their lives and get away from this claim business. We're here to do the waiting, and we're here to help people, get their lives back together. Now,
with the volatile landscape here in the state of Florida and I'll just say the questionable landscape here in Florida, many folks are going to other states, going to Texas where the claim volume is high, or in other areas. Are you also growing to other states? What states are you guys offering funding in?
Yeah, so we're national claims funding. We obviously are homegrown in Florida, but absolutely, wherever they go, wherever people have real damage. I want to make that really super clear. We fund real damage, and we want to help people all over the country get their properties repaired. That is definitely our mission.
Now, you mentioned contractors. Do you work with, and I realize it's a little different relationship with an insured, but do you fund contractors? Or if you were to fund an insured, well, what's your obligation? I mean, obviously they need to use the money to fix their house. So I was curious how that process would work.
Yeah, so insured is somewhat of a new product line for us, but the way it would work is, first of all, we would need an introduction to the insured. We would do an underwriting of the claim just like we do for contractors. What that would entail is reviewing the policy, reviewing pictures of the damage, reviewing information about what caused the loss. So if it's a weather event, we need to understand the scope of the weather. Was it hail? Was it wind? Was it significant wind, significant hail? We'll then want to make sure that there's enough coverage in their policy and coverage for the right items. And from there, we're going to put together, we want to see an estimate from whoever is working for them on their claim of the damages. And we'll also then do our own conservative estimate of the damages, and we can fund them some percentage upfront for their claim figure. It'll probably, again, we like being conservative to keep everybody on the same team. We find that works best in the 20 to 30% range of the damages so that they can start the work process and start getting the ball rolling. And then we can either charge them a flat fee for our services, and this will basically be a hedge against how long it'll take to get paid. Or if they and their claims representative, whether that's a PA or an attorney, thinks that the claim is going to resolve much faster, we can also do a per month funding fee, which will end up being cheaper over the short term for the insured. And we would have a contract, assigning us some of the proceeds of the claim. We've done this many years ago. We had a model for this. And it would be a very simple funding agreement, and we would get them funded probably in about 1 to 2 weeks after our underwriting is complete.
That's amazing. And to be able to offer that everywhere. I mean, think about a big multi-story commercial building, what it costs just to at least dry in the roof, just to stop damage from getting any worse. You need that. I mean, it's a big enough percentage to dry in the roof, to get it stabilized in a place while we're waiting on these inspections to happen and waiting on payments to start coming from the insurance company, which takes some time. And Hurricane Milton, that was the last storm that came through here in Florida. We only have 18 months total to supplement. So somewhere in April of next year is the final deadline for any supplements. You've had to file the claim already for Hurricane Milton because 12 months have already passed since the date of loss. If you've already filed a claim and you haven't been satisfied fully by your insurer, you still have an opportunity to have a contractor come out. If you haven't been made whole and you have a funny feeling that you're missing some money, to have a contractor look at that and draw you an estimate and possibly get a supplement. But you have until the 9th of April to do so. And it's always good to contact an attorney, like Hans Kennon here. And if there's some, if you haven't gotten any money at all and it's been that long and your home is still in disrepair, then maybe a funding opportunity might be the best. Because I'm thinking about folks that need it. Not all the time do those folks have good credit and all this other stuff. Because you think about, I'm waiting on my roof to get paid. Oh, and by the way, your interest is reimbursable. So let's just go ahead and get a loan for it. And sometimes it's not just that easy, right? I mean, I look at, even if I had the wherewithal to do it, I'm not going to ding my credit when I could fund based off of the claim in which, you fund off the funds that you're going to get. Right, that's in your policy of insurance. So it just makes a lot of sense to me.
And as far as the funding goes, is that considered non-recourse funding?
Correct. We want to be funding the claim itself, which is why we place such a strong emphasis on really underwriting that claim. And
I think it's kind of what we're talking about, with the idea that people can't necessarily go out and just borrow money because with credit issues or other things. The great thing about this system is that it funds based on the claim, not based on credit history. That's right. So the person, Correct. The homeowner themselves, isn't really, they have to go, I'll never get it. I got this, I got that, I got this. No. What's the value of the claim? And it's separate and apart from credit ratings, all those other things, so they can actually get their homes back together. And especially folks who are in a lesser economic group, though these types of stresses hit them certainly harder than many of us, where these things can put them out of work, make them not be able to get to the job, do the job that they need to do. So, and also as non-recourse, the national funding takes on the risk with the insurance company. So you get your house fixed, everything's back to normal, and then national goes and deals with your insurer about getting paid. So it really is I hate to use the word win-win because I always feel like there's a win-lose in there somewhere whenever I say win-win, but it does sound like it actually is a win-win.
It really is.
Hans, I want to jump in for 1 second. Just to make sure there's no misconceptions for anybody, we don't have any power to, if we were funding the insured, we don't represent them as an adjuster or as an attorney. All we are is a funding partner. So we would work with their attorney to make sure that we just understood the status of the claim, but we want their attorney involved. We want them to have strong representation to make sure that they get what they need, but that's not our job.
No, I understand. I guess what I should have said was, well, once the money is lent, the insured it does not have an obligation of repayment, correct? The obligation is me as a lawyer to go get what I can and get the claim paid on their behalf, and the money goes to you guys.
You nailed it.
There you go. Give me a couple tries. I'll get it right.
Love it. Now,
only 2. That's pretty good.
And Ilana, how would a homeowner or contractor, and that's great to know that you're just rolling that out. And of course I knew that, but I love that you're offering different products now, and it's not just with contractors, which is very, very helpful and definitely in my world. And so how do they get a hold of you, whether it be a contractor or a homeowner, to start a process to maybe start underwriting a claim?
Sure. So there's a few different ways. Number 1, check out our website, claims.com. From there, you can see there's our phone number, there's our email address. You can book a meeting directly with me. You can also reach out and call us at 561-765-7993, or you can email us at getfunding@natclaims.com. That's getfunding@natclaims.com. Tell us a little bit about what's going on, and we'll follow up and tell you what we need to get started.
That's awesome. And many people that I know in my circles, the national roofers or the guys that are stabilizing in between the tarpers and such, they rely heavily on this type of funding as they're kind of following storms, and on the ones where there are massive delays. I mean, these things are $5-6 a square foot to put on these massive roofs just to stop the bleeding, stop the leaking from occurring, so everybody can pause, stabilize, and get everything done. But there's no way you can do that unless you're able to help fund at least the material and the labor portions of that. I mean, that could get very expensive very quickly. And if you're waiting a year and every one to get paid, that could, and you, the contractor, end up being the bank. That gets wears on you after a while. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're actually, speaking of how we help contractors, we're rolling out another program as well, which I think you'd be super excited to hear about. When a contractor gets a scope approved or has withheld depreciation coming to them from the insurance company, we can actually go ahead and fund a very healthy percentage of that amount because we know it's coming. So that's another program we're super excited for. So let's say it's maybe a check with the mortgage company. It's a check the insurance company is only going to approve when the job is done. Anything like that, we have a whole new program rolling out for that as well.
That's great. And that's if in the contractor world, if there are supplements or there's that percentage of depreciation holdback, and it might be a chunky part. A lot of us are like, oh, it's only 10 or 20%. No, sometimes they can do 30, 40, 50% I've seen in depreciation just to hold back. And you're like, holy cow, I can't finish the job yet. That's great to know, Ilana, that you're offering that for contractors. So that's great. Get funding, if that's right? Get funding at natclaims.com, right?
Correct.
That's how you can start the whole process right there, shooting you an email to get it started. Well, it's great. We're going to take a break here. We have this commercial break and one more after that. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back after we give some thanks to our sponsors. Talk about national claims funding and what's going on in this legislative session. We'll be right back after the break. All right. We're back live on Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell every Monday night right here on 94.9 FM, 950 on the AM dial. A few days later, you'll see all of our episodes on Spotify, iTunes, anywhere you like to stream. Just check us out. Just put in the search Contractor Talk. Once you start typing my name, Richie, it pops right up. Boom, just like that. On YouTube, you can check us out as well on there. Like us, subscribe us, or go to our website, contractortalkpodcast.com. Everywhere else to find us is found right there on that website. So, but always have great, fresh, new information, shows for you, guests, and different things for contractors here in this world, as we're sponsored by the Restoration Association of Florida. So our members have opportunities to be on the show, opportunities to sponsor, opportunities to speak in front of like-minded folks in this industry, like we did last week. And Hans, that was great for you to come out and be at the Daytona Beach Yacht Club. And
very nice.
Was it called the Halifax? Why is it Halifax?
It was a nice event, nice building, nice presentation. Food was good. Yeah. Good company, all that stuff.
Absolutely. And the guy that's running in the Republican side, he'll be a primary runner here for the CFO's office. Dr. Frank College was there. And
interesting guy. I never had a chance to really hear him before.
Yeah,
I thought Billy Gibbons was dead, but apparently that's not true.
No,
so that's good.
I would have it.
Yeah.
But he's great. He what?
Nobody gets a Billy Gibbons joke. Is that?
No, I'm too young for that. Anyways, but he has such great ideas where he's talking about having a board and really taking some of the power that doesn't need to be for under the Office of Insurance Regulation out of just that commissioner to let's create a board and let's split the powers to be, so to speak, so it's not just a David Altmaier takeover, which was our previous Office of Insurance Regulation dictator. It screwed everything up, lit the garbage can on fire in the state of Florida by allowing this fake crisis to exist. He was behind all of it. It's like, I got an idea. Let's paint the narrative prior to that before we get to session that there's just the rates are out of control, and let's hold on. We were blaming the contractors for a while. I got it. Let's blame Hans. That's right. Let's blame the attorneys and the roofers and all these other people too, and be like, attorneys take 70% of all the claim settlement stuff or whatever they're trying to say. That's a bunch of BS. And they're making up all these lies, these facts that were incorrect, using partial information to say, this is true. And all in a way, and at the same time, they were quietly giving 50, 60, 70% increases to insurance companies. We've heard from insurance companies that never even put in for an increase, got an increase. I mean, it was like all of a sudden Oprah was up there. It's like, you get an increase, you get an increase. Oh, you didn't ask for an increase, you get an increase too. Who else wants an increase? That's crazy.
And then he left.
Yeah.
Then he left to go work for a lobbying firm to be a lobbyist for the insurance industry.
Right.
Just like that.
Just
poof.
Just like that. All part of this grand scheme to then have this story behind, this is why we need to make all these sweeping changes. And then you still hear we're still getting increases after all of these crazy changes where they took away attorney's fees because they were blaming attorneys. So, okay, let's get rid of the attorney's fees. So we're blaming the roofers, so let's do some crazy roof solicitation stuff. All right, let's get rid of the assignment of benefits. Let's get rid of any tool that a consumer could use to help professionalize their claim and actually make it pay. Right. I mean, and so it made it very difficult for all of us. It makes it difficult even for Ilana and National Claims Funding to do her job because of the volatile market here. I can hear we have to underwrite claims a lot more because you never know what a judge is going to do in this state. It's crazy with the rulings that they've let out, that is so in favor of the insurance company that we're like, do we even have anything, to stand on as a consumer? And Hans, you've been to these mediations, and they'll start off like the Citizens one. You say you have $350,000 worth of coverage, but today I have $500 for you. How about that?
Well, A lot of that.
Richie, I think we should get Hans to really talk about DOA here, because of all of the things that are really taking away protections from the insureds in this state, DOA might be the worst.
That is one I'll talk about. That one thing I want to talk about. I was a mediation of the day with an insurer, and talking about ordinance and law and having to underwrite your claim to determine the amount you'll fund. And he says, "Well, Hans, there's like $14,000 available in recoverable depreciation in ordinance and law." And I look at the summary of claims, and I said, "Well, I see. I only needed a few $1,000. I only needed just to make my guy whole." And so I have this claim sheet lists out all the benefits, and he goes, and I said, "But it doesn't say that." He goes, "Well, do you have the other piece of paper?" The other piece of paper? "No, Mike, I don't have the other piece of paper." And that was one that had a separate paper for ordinance and law, not referenced on the primary claim sheet, nowhere to be found. He's like, "Oh, didn't we send that to you?"
Oh my goodness.
No. And in all honesty, I didn't know it was owed because based on the way the claim was adjusted and everything else, it wasn't listed. I mean, it goes through ACV, RCV, depreciation, all these other factors. And I said, "Look, I need like $3,000 more." And he goes, "Well, it's already there." And I was like, wait. Where is it? It's on a separate piece of, and I'm like, why would it not be referenced on the primary claim summary? It said claim summary at the top of it, for God's sakes. And so everything but like, and it was money I needed. And I was like, "Well, so you're going to pay it?" Yeah, we'll pay it. I'm like, "Because I have the sheet now." He goes, "Yeah, because you got the sheet." I'm like, "Okay." But just one of those things when underwriting for someone, when Ilana has to work on these types of claims, becomes critical for all of us, and myself included, where you got to know what they really owe. And you don't always know. And in this case, honestly, like I said, I didn't realize, I had no way to know that they had accounted for this ordinance and law coverage. I thought the money they put on their claim summary was what they were going to pay, but in fact, there was $3,000 the insurers have to pay out of their pocket because nobody knew about it because they didn't send me that piece of paper. So there you go. So DOA is Division of Administrative Hearings. A couple years ago, citizens slipped into this one paragraph, essentially, allowing them to do this type of administrative hearings, which nobody really took seriously. Most people didn't even read it because it was literally, it was like buried like a codicil in the bottom of some 40-page citizens bill that allowed them to do these administrative hearings. Administrative hearings take you out of the court system. Pinellas County judge has already deemed it unconstitutional, and that's up on appeal right now. But DOA means if you made a claim, they put you into this system where you had to go in front of a judge appointed by the governor, like not elected, no nothing, administrative law judge in front of the governor. And as of recently, it was like 99% lost and 1% won. Like there was a guy, who won a DOA hearing. And no one else did. And they put you on this accelerated track. And once
he wasn't even a real winner. There was no chicken dinner, right? I mean,
no.
They try to move for fees and costs, and they're like, no.
Yeah, he was lucky he came out of the whole thing alive. But once you submit your claim, they put you in the system versus in DOA, they demand it, but they make you the plaintiff. So you have all these deadlines you have to meet that are 10%. That literally put you to trial in 90 days. And then they also changed the statute now because originally when they first did DOA, you weren't allowed to get fees and costs from my client if you lost. So I was like, "Hey man, 90 days, I'll go run them up and see what happens. If my client's not liable, I'll go try these things all day." And then they changed the statute again that says you can use this device called a proposal for settlement was now allowed to be used, even though the statute says it's only available in an action for damages. An action for damages means a lawsuit. This isn't a lawsuit. It's an administrative hearing. They changed that statute to make that happen. So I had about a half a dozen of these DOA things before I was like, no more citizens, man. I mean, really, I hate to say it, but if coverage is open by citizens, I'll take it all day long. We'll get it done. We'll get it figured out. But what I call a double denial, a denial at the adjustment level and a denial at the mediation level, honestly, and you subject your client to these DOA hearings, which they can't get out of. You can't withdraw the claim because you didn't make a claim with DOA. It's crazy.
Right. And with that has definitely put a lot of people like second guessing, just like you said. I don't know what to do once we go to past mediation. Then people are just like, Now they're waiting on this. Now they're putting a motion to stay if they've already filed, at this point, really, if they put in a 10-day demand letter, that's when invokes the DOA.
Right.
So, but many people are pausing right now, and that's too bad because they have a lot of policies.
Oh, it's still like 700,000 we talked about the other day. They had up to almost 1.4. They went down 1.2 and then have shed a lot of policies this last year or so.
I have a question now. If citizens, DOA is only a citizen's thing, right?
Correct.
So it's not inherited by the takeout policy insurance company then?
No, unless the takeout policy would. Well, the problem was they, even assuming they tried to invoke DOA, let's say Slide or TipTap or someone that did a takeout policy, they would not be allowed to use proposals for settlement because that statute was only changed as to citizens, allowing them to do that.
Yeah.
Really, so the ability to use DOA, the ability to seek those fees and costs, are really a creature of statute, not even by policy. Like they wouldn't be allowed to do it under the policy because it would conflict with the statute. Right. Obviously, the law's control over the policy.
Right. Well, a lot of times there's no recourse for some of these infractions that these carriers do, and it's like, oh, you're just not supposed to do this. It's like, okay, now what? It's like bad.
There are wrongs for which there are no remedy.
That's unfortunate. In this case, Ilana, I want to kind of wrap you back in this conversation as it has to do with these delays that we're talking about, these changes of not only law, and it does change state to state. And so I think that's where a lot of your, just diving into that file, because it's a lot of background work. The laws right when you pass the border in Georgia, from Florida to Georgia, is totally different, night and day.
Absolutely correct.
And so it doesn't matter, as you've mentioned it, the national claims funding stretches anywhere, no matter if it's fires in California, to wind events here and such like that. Now we got 45 seconds left. That music comes on it. I was just about to ask you a question. Now, are there any states that you haven't been to? I mean, are there areas in Hawaii that you're not able to?
Volcano.
That you're not able to write, but it would seem an insurance claim is an insurance claim. We'll jump on this after the break, but I imagine you work with a lot of the attorneys and the adjusters that are really have the up and up on what's going on with the claim. So a lot of this information is for our the folks that are managing these claims as a public adjuster or an attorney. So we'll talk about this more. I've still got that question I'm going to bring up after the break here. We'll be right back. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. All right. We're back. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. Back from our short break here. We'll dive right back into it. And we were just mentioning about how cold it is right now in Central Florida. We are not used to this weather. And and tomorrow it's supposed to be even colder.
Yeah.
And I said, oh my gosh, it's like lizards falling out of trees over here. And so
iguana shower.
Alana would know that being from Miami area. We're more happening.
It's going to be 47 tonight. 47. That's crazy.
That's too cold for us here in Florida. Somebody help. Throw us a blanket. And so, but right before the break, I was gonna ask you: are there any places that you cannot fund?
Yeah, great question. We try to fund in as many places as we can. For us, one of the key pieces is making sure we know how we're getting paid. So we really like when there's an attorney on the file. So if the insured has an attorney, we're pretty happy to look at most places. Georgia, we keep hearing, is a little bit of a tough landscape, but we have done it. And California, we've also heard a few mixed reviews on, but again, we're happy to explore. So we really take our name national very seriously. If the claim makes sense and we've got a good method of the claim resolving, we want to take a look and we want to be helpful.
That's great. I have seen some advertisements, and of course I saw Dan Newland go over to Jamaica, man. What is that? What does that landscape look like when you cross bounds to another country? And I know us? That. Yeah, and I guess not only for us or for you, national claims funding, and for Hans. I mean,
well, we try to go intergalactic if possible for claims funding with a lot of. There was an issue with the sunspot that hit Mars. We're hoping that mean, get some relief for that if possible. But once I went to my wife said you should get admitted in Jamaica. I'm like, I don't think they have a bar. I don't think there's a bar association. I think you probably can just put up a shingle next to Ilana's there, and we'll do some work.
Who writes
And
that?
I was going to say, if Hans is representing the people of Mars versus the Sun, we can figure out how we're funding it. But Jamaica is not quite a nut we're ready to crack yet, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm curious on if you just happen to know, Hans, and I know this is like, like I remember when there was the hurricane that hit Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And I know many folks were going over there from here, a little bit easier, but there were much tighter restrictions over there. I think it was Maria. I think that
was Maria or Marla. It was I think Maria. I think it was.
It's just such close deadline. I mean, I think it's the 1 year. And I don't think you have any more time other than the year.
I mean, the thing is just because it's a territory of the United States, obviously there's a more formalized system of everything, whether it be FEMA, obviously, has control there, flood policies, all those other things. It's run. I used to work in Puerto Rico years and years ago when I was in the casino business. So it is. I always call it Brooklyn with palm trees. To me, is more how I view Puerto Rico. So again, it's just like going to America. I mean, if you want to go down and join the Puerto Rican bar, I imagine you could probably waive in or on a reciprocal basis. Jamaica is a separate sovereign entity. Obviously, can do what they want or not do what they want. So Puerto Rico would not be a bad place, assuming you have the language. As I like to say, I'm from New Jersey. I'm still working on English. So much less Spanish.
Yeah, you're still trying to park your car somewhere. Find it.
Water. You need a glass of water.
I'm so thirsty. Anyway. But okay. I was just curious on if there was a formalized insurance market over there.
The infrastructure seems to be the biggest failing point that at least from my recollection of how the storm was viewed. Is that distribution of goods and services was the problem. It's still a very rural community, even for when you go to San Juan or places like that. Obviously, it's very very much city-like, but to get the folks out in I guess to some extent maybe it might be like the problems they had with Helene through North Carolina, kind of a similar. You can't always get to those places very easily.
Mm-hmm. Right. I guess that would be the biggest problem, right? Like you said, distribution. I was just curious because I've seen some of the first responders, saying that of course Dan Newland made it there first. He made sure that I'm the first, import here that they let in his big jet. He's bringing all these supplies over there. But it just made me think, and I've seen some other first responders saying we're heading to Jamaica to help out, and I'm like. So how are you going to get paid?
I'm not sure how you coordinate that effort. I mean, so in all seriousness, I don't know how you just show up in a sovereign country and go, "Hi, we're here to help."
Yeah, man. I guess.
I don't know.
I'm sure they're happy to have volunteers.
I'm sure. And like I said, how do you make a business of it? Was the question I had. But
sure.
Anyways, I mean, put your heart first, money follows, right? There was a pause there, but no, Ilana, again, I appreciate you being on the show and helping so many folks out, and starting here in Miami and just making a national footprint. And hitting this camera here is very helpful for those folks that, like I said at the beginning, that have seen Florida as such a volatile market, and we need to expand. We need to hit Colorado. Maybe that's a better landscape. Maybe Texas, New York, the Carolinas.
I'll actually just share. This past week, we went to St. Louis because back in May, St. Louis was hit by this massive destructive tornado. And for anybody looking to figure out where to go to help people, we literally saw holes in roofs still in St. Louis. It's really incredible what happened there. The damage was devastating and is still devastating. So if anybody listening is looking for where people might need help, there is a need in St. Louis.
Who knew? I had no idea.
Yeah, I've got several calls from there in a sidebar too. These contractors were working commercial sites there in St. Louis, and they were having delays on these 3 commercial sites. And I started getting a little bit more information. All 3 of them were churches. I'm like, why do churches always get slow paid or denied? I mean, somebody's going to hell. I mean, it's like
because they assume the church will forgive them.
I guess
that's what it'll be. Forgive you for not paying us,
or they'll repent. But no, that one it reminds me of the one you were working on. We worked on together, Hans. It was in Maitland, and just the painting alone on the inside, it was like $1 million mural, and you're just like,
Michelangelo painted the ceiling on his back on the scaffolding or something.
Right.
I mean, really, it was amazing. Really was very impressive. I got to say.
It's like you. Yes, you definitely need the right team in there for that, because we were like, all this is wet. This has to come out. That's not going to match that. Clearly, good luck.
It was literally the plaster that had been painted on, that the paint was on for these I forget how they call them, not icons or something like, I think maybe it's icons they call them, the painting had fallen off, like it had fallen off the ceiling. And that was not one. That was good. We got it done though. We got it worked out, and the church was very happy with us. And I just finished a church a couple of weeks ago. I have another one coming up, trying to get that done. So I agree. Churches do tend to be bear the brunt. I think a lot of it is too, in all honesty, on church cases, is that a lot of times the parishioners do the work. If there is a loss, they don't immediately call the insurer. They kind of have a work day, and they get all the people go to the church together, and they kind of start doing stuff. And then someone stops and goes, maybe we should call the insurance company once we realize it's gone too far. And then usually like 3, 4, 5 months have gone by. A lot of the work's been done, maybe not done exactly right. Inspections can't happen appropriately. So I tell folks from churches all the time, I go, I appreciate the fact you don't want to incur the deductible, you don't want these problems, but you really need to let the claim folks do their job before you start changing how it looks and kind of poison your own claim.
Right, that happens. Sometimes they're...
and because they're low on money, too. That's other things with Ilana. We were talking about that. Churches typically are not cash flush. They work very much from Sunday plate to Sunday plate. So a lot of times they do this work because they don't have the ability to afford to bring someone in like national funding or not know about national funding.
Right. And
happy to help.
Yeah. And quick question. I would say, or what I was going to ask is, what would you say would be your biggest, like, say, or most fun, or just like a one-off like claim that you funded? An amusement park, or like a building owned by, somebody on Shark Tank or something. I don't know. Throwing it out there.
There's two that I'm not, obviously no names. I've got one NBA player or former NBA player in the mix. That was a fun one. Me and my associate were going through the pictures of this claim, and we noticed, wow, there's a lot of Nike sneakers in this closet. Wow, this is a very nice house. We would be happy to live here. And then we put together, or really, I give the credit to my associate. I don't follow the NBA so closely. He figured out, wait, I think this is, so-and-so's house that actually played in the NBA, and that's why there's all of these Nike sneakers. So that was one.
Oh, that's fun.
And then the other was just like, you don't see so many legitimate fires always in our business. We got one pretty legitimate fire that was also really interesting to just look at from a claims perspective. But the NBA player is more fun.
From a contents perspective too, a friend of mine built Shaq's pool of all the crazy things. And so the deep end's like 12 and a half feet deep. I mean, because he's so tall. Wow. I mean, you got to do something like that. So when I've done other losses with people in that market, and the problem is like they don't sleep in a regular king bed. They don't sleep. They don't have regular furniture. I mean, everything is huge or custom made because that's to accommodate someone who's either 6'5", 6'10", 7 feet tall.
Right.
People go, "Oh, it must be great to be a big player." I'm like, it's hard, man. You don't fit in cars.
Yeah.
You don't fit in
your clothes, right?
You can't buy furniture at the store.
The car, I've seen them take out, like Shaq, they've taken out the front seat, so he's literally sitting in the back seat.
Right, exactly.
Driving. That's so funny.
And so if you have a loss with some of those types of houses, I have a contents person I use at times to go in and do those things just because at times everything's custom. You don't really think about it from that perspective, but the cost of refurbishing someone's home who is super tall is a much more daunting thing than someone who's just a regular height.
That's funny.
I hadn't even thought of that, Hans, but that's an incredible point that he might not have a normal sized bed.
I guarantee you he probably does not. I mean, I'm like 6 foot tall and my feet get clipped close to the end of our bed. I mean, a guy another
Right.
foot taller.
Half of them would be hanging off. So
Yeah.
he's like, okay, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, so it's that, so from a contents funding
Everything is
perspective,
custom.
Everything is custom.
My
Even
goodness.
doorways. Even
Yeah.
doorways.
I would say for me, one of my most fun projects was the Hard Rock in Seminole, which was the one in Fort Lauderdale. And during the build of that, there were the construction firms who hired us. There were all these leaks. One of them from the roof when they were trying to dry in and adding the guitar strings to
Right.
the building. And it leaked while they were building. There were 8-9 floors up, and it leaked all the way down to the third floor. So they had to remove all those floors. Anyways, when they finally got it finished, towards the end of the project, turning it over, and Beyonce and Jay-Z were staying in the penthouse, and it had a leak in there. And I was like, all right, let's go. Check it out. So, they weren't there.
It's in the
Oh, well.
shower.
They were in the casino at the time, but anyways, it was almost that fun. Great projects, great fun. And to end this, how do we get a hold of you, Ilana?
Again, give me a call, 561-765-7993. You can also email us at getfunding@natclaims.com, or check out our website and Google us, National Claims Funding. We're here to help.
Love it. Thank you so much. National Claims Funding, a great partner of the Restoration Association of Florida. So if you haven't met with Ilana and met with somebody at National Claims Funding, now's your time to do it. And Hans, as always, thanks for being here. How do we get a hold of you, Hans?
On my cell phone, 407-782-0258, 407-782-0258. Call anytime.
Put Hans, lawyer. That's the way we do it here at the Restoration Association of Florida. We'll see you guys next week. See ya. Have a great week.